Diggersaurs and the Drowning Planet. The place, a lonely planet in a far-off galaxy. The time, just a few hundred years from now. Mining engineer Orion Belt was eating his lunch when Alpha and Astra rushed into the home dome. "Dad, the Diggersaurs have stopped working!" Up in the quarry, Borosaurus had stopped boring holes, and Archaeopteryx's X-ray eyes were switched off. Saber-toothed Gruber the Grab stood idle, his big bottom jaw on the ground. Even Diggity the robot dog was whimpering gently.
"Unsafe,"
said Braintosaur in his flat computer voice.
"My sensors detect water. There is a danger of flooding."
"Rubbish," said Orion. "Look at this place. It's a desert. You know we have to fly in all our water from Hydrophon. Your sensors are defective, Braintosaur. Get those machines digging or I'll take you apart and sell you for scrap." He stamped home, but the children stayed. The machines all turned their heads towards Braintosaur.
"Commence work,"
he said, though his voice broke. Borosaurus drilled a hole in the ground. Dinosaurus planted the dynamite. Then Triggersaurus pressed the plunger. Tons of rock shattered. Then there was silence. Astra breathed in to say, "Look, there's no water." Then, with a strangled gurgling, a jet of purple water rocketed out of the hole. It rose higher than Alpha could see. 5 minutes later, it was cascading down around them.
"Emergency! Evacuate!"
cried Braintosaur. "Run for the home dome!" shrieked Astra. They ran, and behind them came the Diggersaurs. Every time Alpha looked back, he could see the fountain of purple water soaring into the starry sky and raining down again. The caterpillar tracks of the machines were soon squelching axle-deep in mud. The home dome was entirely surrounded by water. Mother and Father stood in the doorway with space cases.
"Evacuate! Evacuate!"
droned Braintosaur.
"Abandon the planet!"
"We must get to the shuttle on the hill!" shouted Orion Belt. A wave swept Alpha off his feet and up against the home dome. He and Astra clambered onto the roof. From there they could see how an underground sea had burst the planet's crust and was swirling over everything. Already it was too deep to wade to the shuttle. "I don't want to frighten Mum," whispered Astra, "but there are things in the water." Alpha could see them too, the fins of plesio sharks, the waving tentacles of a squidosaur. To think, they were all living down there under the ground. "Swim for the shuttle!" shouted their father, diving into the water.
"Do not swim!"
growled Braintosaur, pulling him out. He had seen the sea creatures too. Suddenly, Gruber, the huge bulldozer, lumbered through the deepening water and opened his grab. The children saw his huge jaws over their heads. Suddenly, he shoveled up the whole family. Clanking and groaning, Gruber set off for the shuttle. The water round his metal legs swarmed with beasts from the underground sea. Borosaurus battled with a giant swordfish. Dinosaurus lobbed sticks of dynamite to the plesio sharks. Diggity Dog yapped fiercely at a jellyfish. The cleaning robot and the robot chef from the home dome sat astride Archaeopteryx, beating off the tentacles of a hungry squidosaur with mops. "But Dad, how will we all fit into the shuttle?" cried Alpha. Orion Belt shook his head and scowled. "We only have room for the robots. The Diggersaurs will have to stay behind." Somehow, the convoy of Diggersaurs got the Belt family safely to the hill. At once, the machines began scraping up a wall of earth to protect the spaceship from the rising water. "Get in, Alpha, and shut the hatch," called Orion when everyone else was aboard. "I won't leave the Diggersaurs," Alpha declared. But Dinosaurus reached out and pushed the boy through the hatch. As the shuttle took off, They could hear Braintosaur's flat, unexcited voice saying,
Humans successfully evacuated.
Looking down, they could see the Diggersaurs huddled together on the hilltop. "Next stop, Earth," said Orion Belt, trying to sound cheerful. But everyone else on board was crying. "Let's orbit the planet once, Dad," said Alpha. "Just to say goodbye." So they flew once, slowly round the drowning planet. And when they flew over the hilltop again, they looked out. Saber-toothed Gruber had just swallowed Archie and Triggersaur. Dinosaurus was half in, half out of the grab. Braintosaur was busily unscrewing bits of Gruber's rear end. A hail of rivets splashed into the floodwater. "What are they doing?" asked Mother. "Are they fighting?" But Alpha and Astra knew. They hugged each other for joy and craned to see out of the shuttle's rear window. There was the flash of a retroburner, and off the planet rose a strange rocket. In the open cockpit sat Braintosaur, his spindly legs dangling. And inside Gruber the rocket, the other Diggersaurs happily rattled about as passengers. "Brain has turned Gruber into a rocket!" cried Alpha with a cheer. The two spacecraft turned away from the drowned planet and headed for another planet and a new home.